Hello there, I'm Sean Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this Out of This World show we're going to do. And I have a wonderful guest on today, a special friend of mine that we met at the Full Disclosure Now conference in Florida, and got well acquainted, and a lot of interesting stuff he goes into and things he's experienced, many subjects, skills, information, psionics abilities. He goes into advanced hypnosis and regression and helps people recover their memories and heal trauma. Drago, can you talk? Can you tell? Oh, you're on mute. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself?
I've been practicing Dolores Cannon QHHT since about mid 2018, and I've ended up doing over around 850 sessions. And through all these sessions, I've discovered so many realms, like realms that basically disprove what we're taught. I've learned classified physics, stuff about the universe that a lot of people's not talking about, and programming codes. It's helped people that are in the programs. They come to me, they're in the secret space program, or they went through the MK Ultra program, and I can help uncover these blocked and repressed memories. And I learned a way how I can basically do this and navigate away from all the traps and all the activations that come with trying to retrieve this information via this kind of hypnosis. And since then, I've been kind of known where basically some of the worst come to me, meaning the most traumatized, the ones that went through the most pain, the ones that's been through the most anguish in the programs. And they basically want to forgive themselves for the things they had to do. And like, it's got to a point where I openly seek out these kind of people, and I'm here to hold this space for them. And this is what I'm here to do.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. That makes a lot of more people stronger, more capable, holding a big weight on their shoulders that has been given them in life purpose, and they can make the world a better place as they go into strength with it, and then they can help others. That makes a locomotion that just makes the better timeline, which is what we're here to do. That's part of the title of the show, Make the Timeline Better. Yeah, so how did you get into this line of work? How did you wake up? How did all this, how was that process looking for you in your life?
It's a convoluted story. Since I was a kid, I was always connected to space. I was always part of a military family when I was a child, and when I was young, I would try to talk about things and draw things that, I mean, the internet didn't exist. Imagine 1985, 1986, and this little kid's drawing like astronauts on the moon and space rovers, where the only place you can see those is either on TV or in a book in a library. And I remember being first grade, it was like one of those parent-teacher nights where the parents show off all the kids' art and stuff. And I remember they singled out my mom and my stepdad, and my military father that raised me, to kind of step in after my, basically at birth. He took on that kind of responsibility and role to be my father. And my teacher kind of singled him out and said, I need to show you this art. You know, he's just come and let me show you this. And as she goes down the hall, the way my mom tells the story, she's like, the teacher was saying, this is what kids are actually drawing, like houses and dogs and families and sunshine and grass and stuff like that, you know, kitten kisses and rainbow s'mores and stuff. And like, she goes to mine, and literally it's the moon with astronauts and a space rover, and like, you're like, your child's drawing at like a 6th grade level. And at that point, that was like my first realization that people were acknowledging that I wasn't normal. And as for the programs, I remembered a lot of that trauma growing up, and it turned me into a certain type of kid at a very young age. And it's something that I've struggled with my entire life. And as for like the bulk of my memories, like I knew growing up I was part of like, I felt like a military kid. Like I would wear fatigues and go out into the woods and like play soldier and like go out in the rain with my fatigues and just lay on the ground and let the ants bite me, just like I was trained to do in the here and now, the Drago Reid in the here and now, not in the programs. And I've been that person my entire life. It's something that I can't turn off. I feel like I'm always in red at all times for operational readiness and alertness. I always expect enemies. I always expect an ambush. I know that's not logical, meaning that I'm not going through life and going to work every day thinking somebody's going to ambush me. It's more like I feel that I'm caught in a cover life where I've been a soldier in so many lifetimes that you can't turn it off. It's kind of like when a soldier leaves the military and he's forced to be a civilian. And to a soldier like that, civilian life is like hell. It's a nightmare because when you were in the military, you had a purpose. You had something to do every single day. Like you were on a time schedule. And once you get out of that programming, it's hard to not see the world as if you're prepared for combat. Like even though I know I'm not going to get attacked, I know that someone's not going to pull out a gun. I'm going to be part of some shootout. But I am always ready for it, no matter what. I always anticipate a what if. I always walk as if I am in a foreign country, and you got to watch yourself. But again, that's how I've been since I was a child. Now, my motorcycle crash happened in May 2015. No, May 2005 when I was 25. I hit a wall doing 120 miles an hour in my Kawasaki Ninja. And I technically died at that moment. Had an out-of-body experience, and it took me a long time before I really started talking about that, because to be like this masculine, big tattooed guy, and then you're talking about life after death, and like a lot of people I would talk to about, they didn't believe in reincarnation and stuff like that. Like they thought like when you die, you literally go to heaven or you go to hell. So to explain to somebody that you've seen the other side more than a few times, to try to tell that story to someone who's never actually stepped out of their body and experienced that, it's really hard to help anyone understand. So specifically with QHHT, which is the Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique by Dolores Cannon, the one that created the technique, I actually learned it directly from her daughter, Julia. And this taught me that I can use this technique to help me recover memories, because this traumatic brain injury, I lost the first 13 years of my life. I have legal amnesia. Like I maybe have 20 memories outside the programs as a child of like regular human existence. And then at 13, my memories start. But when I hit that wall 2005 at 25, it's like I woke up to something and memories start bleeding in. And it was stuff that I did not remember. And it's stuff that was very compartmentalized. And it was almost like the brain injury, because I damaged my parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and my reticular activation system. And reticular activation system is basically like the speed processor of the human brain. It allows you to process time, and it basically augmented me in a way where over time after that brain injury, I hit my head when I totaled my Honda S2000 drift car. And I remember the moment that I was hit from the front. It wasn't my fault. I wasn't speeding. I was doing like 45 in traffic. And then some guy came out me in reverse in traffic. Who does that? Hits me head on as I'm exiting. Spun me around, my head hits. And I remember that's when my slow motion activation became where it was at will. So like everybody recalls, like when you go through trauma, you see everything in slow motion. That's a very common thing. But the point is, from that moment on, it never turned off. It means that I can, when I tell people that I can see over 200 frames per second, people don't understand what that means. Some people think it means I'm seeing in slow motion all the time. It's selective. It depends if my adrenaline is spiked for a second. It depends if I'm doing an interview with a client and I'm detecting that they really want to tell me something, and I have to use their body to tell me the truth. And what happens is, during a conversation with an interview with a client in person, because QHHT is in person only. We can't do it online as per Dolores Cannon rules. That allows me to see people in a way no one's ever been seen before. And the moment I see a micro expression, I could then slow my vision down and have about a 10-second tracer where I could remember in slow motion exactly how they blinked, exactly how they twitched, exactly when I told them a truth about them that they didn't know, no one knew about. I seen their feet buckle and move. I seen the more I would tell the truth under assumption of trying to get to know somebody, you see the more you tell the truth, people get farther back in their chair. They start holding their breath. And it gets to the point right when they go to speak, it's just like, you see their body drop and exhale. And it's like you just opened a door to a trauma that they've been holding and blocking for so long, that I saw something in them that they needed to pull to the surface. And it was only through that micro expression and me slowing down time just to see how they told me with telepathy through. If you've had an in-person session with me, everybody talks about how telepathic our experience is between me and the person who I give the session to. Anybody watching this now, Yemi Janae, Derek and Daniel, like there's so many people that I've put under. Some people, SSP, we've got extreme targeting lately. That's what I wanted to talk about later, is the amount of targeting that the SSP people are going through right now, especially during their sessions, so we can get into that later. But that's it, man.
Cool. I send you the link in your Instagram. So, yeah, let's talk about the trauma. Based on what you've told me, you have a lot of death energy sent at you, which I relate to. They stopped being able to send a lot of the lower level, like shadow, darkness, offense, pain, illness, and they ramp it up, and they like have a scanner for what you can handle. They try to overcome that each day by sending a certain amount over it. And I deal with that too. So have respect for what you're dealing with, and turning into a magic and resilience to make it so that you can push back against these dark forces. Yeah, tell us about that. What kind of things you experience?
Where do you want this to go? What technically is your question?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we would like bring up for people that might be experiencing similar, so that they can understand they might have some similarities to you, and then they can contact you and seek help from both of us. What type of targeting do you experience? Like I get headaches, overwhelm. They usually send demons. I've had like things try to stab me in the heart, shut down organs. Intense amounts of emotion balls dumped on me at different times to try to overwhelm me while cutting off grounding so that I can't get it out of the body. And then like a lot of like spiritual daggers into me, and all these different ways to narrow down and make it so that I'm smaller spiritually. And then if I get enough time, then I'll turn it all into something that benefits, as everything they do against us makes us stronger, and it's now ours. And these are predators. They steal the tech. They didn't earn their spiritual ability. So now if they force entangle with us, we can liberate the stolen tech that the predator stole from some other being, and now it's yours. So a lot of death energy, pain, abilities, all the things. So what has been coming at you in your life that you can express to people so that they can like, oh, I have that. Ooh, I better call you.
One thing I can say that they would send to me a lot would be nightmares. And then I had an experience in a dream where I was walking in Fort Worth, Texas, where I'm from, and I was leaving my tattoo shop middle of the night, and in my dream I felt this was 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. It was complete darkness. I'm looking at the buildings all around as I go through my own city, and I look at this little light above me, and it's kind of kind of like shortening out and stuff like that. And it's kind of illuminating this kind of area that it wanted me to focus on. And I remember looking up, and I just remember feeling just contentment and peace. Next thing you know, I hear somebody come up behind me, put a gun to my head, and blow my head off. And the moment I hit the concrete, I felt the blood pour out of my head. And it was one of the most peaceful things I've ever felt in my life, to physically leave my body and to know what true pain, that true pain wasn't even existing anymore, because the moment I left, I felt that lightness. So I tell you this dream because I've been living in a perpetual amount of pain most of the day, most of the time when I sleep. And I say this on every interview that I do. I don't even sleep an hour or two a night. And I haven't slept an hour or two in over 5 years. And 5 years ago, I was sleeping 3 to 4 hours a night. And just the amount of pain that I feel right when I go to bed, I don't get 5 minutes, 10 minutes max before I toss to the other side. And it feels like I'm playing ping pong with my own psyche, because I'm bouncing from the left to the right, from the left to the right. And it's just like, I feel that I'm in a perpetual loop of insanity where they won't let me sleep. And you were saying that they were targeting like 80% of all my targeting is hitting me in my sacral. And that's where all my pain is. And it's so intense sometimes that I get a shooting pain and it jolts my body forward like electrically. And I don't know, man. I was telling you about the dreams too, because I figured out how to master the nightmares by realizing that anybody I faced, no matter what was coming at me in a dream, was a version of me, and it was basically myself. So I remember that realization one day stopped the nightmares, and I don't remember ever having a nightmare since then. And it's been so long since I've had a nightmare, because it used to be I would have that screened dream where basically you're running from something, something's chasing you, or you're going after a target in some kind of mall, in some kind of hotel structure, something big. And it was that for the longest time, for years and decades. It would be the same dream over and over and over. And we figured out through these programs and these sessions that a lot of these repetitive dreams, they're screen dreams, meaning that they're giving you these dreams to cover up what your experiences are actually happening behind the scenes. And I've realized that the repetitiveness of the dreams, it's cover for they took you again. And we're seeing this through remote viewing now. We're seeing this through QHHT sessions. Like, I'm doing a lot of big name SSP people, and it's getting to the point where the SSP is on me, meaning that they know that I'm unlocking doors and these assets that a lot of people can't do, because recently I had an interview with the ACIO. Something behind the scenes, Jessica and I kind of talk on a semi-regular basis on pretty much all the time. And the roles I've played in the SSP is pretty big. And when I was given the thumbs up to kind of start talking about these experiences, I was giving a warning in advance. And Amir Jahangiri, he told me that I was going to be facing 3 epic battles in my life. And the first battle's already started. And I've noticed that leading up to the Full Disclosure Now conference, the amount of targeting has been epic for me. And that's only made me fight stronger. And it's got to the point where I see that how much they're targeting us. Like, the kind of targeting that happened at that show. And everybody was experiencing it. And it let us all know that, holy shit, we're doing something that's big, to the point where all eyes are actually on us. And a lot of us aren't supposed to be talking with each other, because the more we talk to each other, the more we activate each other's memories. And the more handlers they put in our life at these shows, the more these people get called out. And it's getting to the point where I don't know a lot of practitioners that do QHHT or any kind of discovery hypnosis where you're helping these SSP or these assets, but I'm now including identifying handlers in their lives. That's one of the biggest things I go after now. When you come get a session from me, I'm going to identify who's your handler, and I'm going to show you how they did it with your higher self, showing you the mechanism, when it started, or why it's happening. And when I started focusing on identifying handlers, that's when the target really started getting epic with me. And they started activating people that are close to me. And a group of us, of strong remote viewers, we've did these projects where we've remote viewed these other people that are targeting us. And we've confirmed that they've been activated from the programs, and this is retaliation. But no matter what, I'm not going to stop. I will always speak the truth no matter what. I will always speak through a non-filter. There are no limits. There are no subjects I will not talk about. A lot of times when I do an interview, they're like, what do you not want to talk about? I'm like, there's nothing off the table, man. I'm not going to act as one of those kind of censors, so.
Yeah, thanks. I watched your presentation twice. It was really good. Didn't give a fuck about targeting, so I appreciate that too. And also, yeah, I do that some more. I just, have a lot of types of negative things that come at me. At this point, I used to hate it. I used to be kept up at night from sleeping. Demons would just strategically attack right when I go to sleep. And then it would, a lot of things would try to kill me. So it's like propelling us at a higher level to elevate faster and grow psionically. All these challenges are like cocoons for the butterfly to break out of. If it didn't have the cocoon as a block and boundary to strength train it to break out, then it would be too weak to survive. And I flipped even the death and stuff. I flipped it into seeing it as like, okay, even if this asshole wants to just harm me, take me out, or steal from me, or whatever, a parasite, I'm gonna engulf it with love, because love overcomes that all, and then shrink, give it size and scale as its capacity, and then shrink it down more and more until it collapses, because the parasites are finite in what they can do. They steal from others, so you can cut them off from different sources. And then I also look at like, oh, you're sending death energy at me. Wonderful. Now I get more authority of that, and I'm going to be a much better caretaker to this energy. I'm going to treat it like a baby. I'm going to heal it, give loving detachment to it. It's volatile, so you can push around it like cocooning, or like a spider around its prey, or a quilt around a baby to coddle it, and then get it to like you with love and healing and wholeness and what it needs. And then it will like you, and you'll become more immune to death, as an example, and then more immune to all the types of energy until they run out of the types of things to do. Like you, one of the biggest things I'm reading on you that's targeting is cheating, which congratulations, you're at that level, because not everyone gets cheating level sent at them. It's a really annoying thing. They are stealing from like gods and beings of high authority and tech that isn't like, it doesn't have a purpose for being in the game, because it's way it's above the level. It's not fair. I'm reading it's being stolen from Earth, that's being used against you, and there's like 1 trillion types of cheating being sent at you to compress you. So, also there's all these layers of like mind control and things that are coming at this species, and psionic dampeners that are limiting the psionics of the up and coming species over human psionic emergent species. And I was looking through the time and I was like, is there a way we can get rid of those? Is it like, what do we got to do to that? And so they're going to keep sending them at them. They're going to keep time traveling back in the past and implanting more. So the goal is to like just the timeline that works is get yourself so strong in psionics, you push it up like it's a weight, and you get super strength. So that's what I found that works. So and falling in love with the process, because we're dealing with more weights than most planets, and we're also have more potential. So it's not like a lost cause. It's just you gotta love working out kind of thing, but for psionic abilities. I also would love to go into psionic abilities with you and more the suppression that's going on. And if you want to deal with cheaters, you can call a cheater collective in. You just snap your fingers to like, oh, there's cheating. And then you have the opportunity to be a trap for cheaters, resolving the stolen authority and collapsing it down any challenge that's coming at you, you are getting granted deep in your heart or your soul the capacity and the abilities to overcome that threat, because the universe sees that as fair, and you just reach deep inside yourself and pull out a new ability or tactic, or combine together a bunch of strategies that you came up with before, and then make something new that overcomes the threat. And I believe you've done that multiple times in your life.
I think what I've learned the most going through these programs is the value of life. And I've never talked about this, but I believe that when you're facing an enemy and you can spare your enemy and show him kindness for the first time in a moment of contemplation and realization that you could have took your enemy's life, and at that moment you given him that gift of his own life, it creates, I think it heals something in the heart that was blocked and opens a door that you didn't think could be opened again, where you and an enemy can then embrace each other and become one with each other. So earlier I was in my garden, and I have a lanai, and I have plants inside my lanai. I have a sunroom next to the lanai, and then I have a bunch of plants outside. So sometimes the lizards get in my lanai, and yes, they're going to eat the critters within my lanai, but I feel that they're trapped in a big terrarium. So my life goal is to help them escape that lanai, to let them know that they're caught in something that they don't understand, and that there's a way to escape. So earlier, I looked down, and there was a lizard on my shoe, the shoes that I wear outside when I'm gardening. And I looked at him and I said, "Stay brave." I got down low, I picked up my shoe. I took that shoe, opened the lanai door. He stayed calm, he just looked at me. I made sure to not look him in the eyes. You cannot look a reptile in the eyes at all. Do not do it, because it's a sign you're going to attack. It's kind of like when I'll get into birds later. Same thing with birds. Birds are reptiles. They come from reptile DNA. They all act the same. So at the very end, I put him down to one of my plants, a bromeliad, and I look down for the first time. He looks me in the eye and he jumps. And I think something along the lines of, if you can master your fear, it has the biggest payoff. Meaning that in the face of that lizard, facing what is tantamount to Godzilla, it chose to remain calm and to trust me. And that in that point, it hit the lottery, because I released it back into its own environment. And it only took trust that I would not harm it. I think that's who we need to become. And what that's taught me is I don't hate anyone anymore. I've spent a lot of my life hating people, and I realized that when you hate somebody, they have power over you, because when you think about them all the time, they own you. And if you think about that, that's 100% true. That means this person is winning, and I'm constantly fighting a battle that only exists within my own mind. And one day I just had that catharsis. I'm like, holy crap. I've been feeding this energy that's repetitive, it's cyclical. The more I think about this person, the more it lowers my vibration, the more I feel negativity, the more it ruins my drive to work, you know? And I realized the person that just cut me off doesn't even exist. It's part of a matrix program. And if I get upset, I lose. If some guy's starting to hit his brakes, ride a little bit too freaking slow in the fast lane, I realize now that if I get upset, I lose. And these are the tests we have to go through every day to get past those fears of not having control, to allow life to just go with the flow for the first time, man. And that's where I'm at now.
I agree with that. Yeah, and that's describing the pathway to enlightenment and detachment. All these things that come into our life, very attachy. They come in and they create a big trauma or attachment or emotional wound and all that. And if we get up under that big weight and says, keep pulsing with our heartbeat and letting it go, it has less power over us, especially when the ego has the most amount of attachment going out or as coming at it. And a lot goes along with needing something to be a certain way or control or power over a situation, and letting that go as you go into the infinite inwardness of oneness with everything, and everything works out even better. Fear, I agree. Ooh, I love that you brought that up. Barely get to talk about fear. Every time I go into ET contact stuff and like wanting it to come out more, I've had various amounts of ET contact, but there's always these blocks. It's like parts of the matrix want to stop it. And they keep telling me one of the biggest blocks a lot of people have is like fear. And like going through the fear, not everyone has like the superficial outer layers of fear, and they've resolved and gone inward. And they'll start realizing there's deeper layers. A lot of it's stored in the ego or the kidney, adrenal glands, or the bladder. And if you start purifying those areas, if you ever feel overwhelmed with fear, and you shrink down that ball, either transmuting it or collapsing into a portal and send it where it needs to go, or destroying it if it's really far gone, then you can get rid of it. And then there's these altars that after I got through those layers that contain fear, that are centered in the solar plexus. And they'll like wait until you're ready to handle it and you initiate it. And then you're like, where did this fear come from? You feel into it, and there's visions that come with it, and you interview it. Where did this come from? Some of them will go back to like SSP stuff or clones. Some were like a lot coming from wars, invasions of an insectoid race, like negative timelines, death or death of your friends kind of thing. And then like going through those layers. And then I got to this layer that's very hard to get rid of, which is this continued layer of abduction programming that's an attempted implant of fear to cut a person off from remembering, as well as experiencing more of positive ET visitation or remembering the negative abduction. So there's like a layer that you need to get up under and prevent that programming that of fear that's been implanted to. I'm reading it's at a level that, because fear, if you have enough of it, it can kill a person. So it's some of the things, if the certain amount of fear is implanted in a person, a positive ET will read that, and it will prevent them from wanting to interact with you in a conscious way, because they don't want to harm you. Have you come up with seen anything like that in your hypnosis sessions?
It's funny, like these beings, they come through on a regular basis, especially SSP related stuff or program stuff, because you realize there's a handler. And a lot of times these handlers aren't just human, they're actual grays a lot. Like there are other beings like mantids, but like what I'm seeing on a regular basis is grays being handlers. And I'm talking to some of these beings, or like these altars that exist in these assets and stuff like that. And these evil beings, they always try to come in and project fear to you. And you can feel it. Like even though you can be doing a session on somebody, they will shine an energy at you, a frequency. And like that stuff doesn't work on me. Like the fear stuff, it doesn't work. I don't really have fear. Like I step forward into something without thinking about myself, always going after anything. If you know me personally, if you ever got to spend time with me, you know what I'm freaking capable of. And I don't even need to talk about that. But the point is, I never fear anything. I never fear how big somebody is if I have to actually fight them. There's nothing. There's never a lag. There's not that vibration that pulls you down to a moment where you have to retreat. And we were programmed, always run forward, always face the enemy, get it over with now. The only time is now. Fear is trying to put it off. And like, you can truly remote view my soul, you'll see that I don't fear nothing, man. I've lost so much in my life that I understood that everything is temporary in your life. Everything is transient. Everything is a lesson. And if you attach to it materially, meaning if you try to own it, meaning that if you have a child, that's a way of trying to own something. You're not trusting that there's a higher plan for your child where you don't technically have to protect your child. Your child will be protected. Your child will not be abducted if that's the plan. Like, we found out through QHHT that a lot of times when you lose a child, there's a reason for it, and it wasn't random. It was part of an agreement. You came here to experience what that loss would be, because that's something you could never get past in previous lives. A lot of females go through this, where they'll have a miscarriage or they'll have an abortion, and then years later it tore them up because they were like, what if? What would my child look like now? Like, I don't have children now, and then what would my child have been? What kind of parent would I be now? So like, that's a very powerful lesson to learn. Even losing a child, we found out through QHHT, like, there's not a lot of situations where it randomly and it was accident, meaning that it went against your soul plan when you incarnated. So everybody, when you're born, you have an ultimate, like, you're in a labyrinth. And at certain parts of this labyrinth, there's going to be predetermined things that are going to happen. And these are part of agreements with other souls. Something you have to get past, something as part of your own soul evolution. It could be someone who's going to break your heart. It can be the first time you're humiliated as a child. It can be the height of your entire career, and then everything is taken and swept from under you, and you have nothing. These are agreements. A lot of people don't understand that, but like a lot of injuries, a lot of cancer, a lot of pain, a lot of it's agreements. A lot of it's not natural, just like we're talking about now. They are cheating. They are hacking this video game, and they are injecting their own codes, and they are hacking human bodies. And that's what it is. All this is ones and zeros. Like, consciousness doesn't exist without matter. So everything is alive. Every single thing you look at is alive and conscious. And we think these inanimate objects are just drywall, or just dust on the floor, or just a piece of metal. But that's you. Everything is you. So I'm to that point of spiritual evolution now where in the programs and the secret space program, we're all forced to do things we don't want to do. And you're right, there's a form of mind control. We were programmed since we were kids to be activated and to be put in mechanisms that guarantee results. And when we're pulled out of that, we're only left with our morality. And a lot of these memories are removed for these reasons, because if you could remember the things that they made us do, that they make people do, you would want to blow your head off. It would be, you would think about it 24 hours a day. Like, even if you were like the best assassin in the world and you had a very high head count, you might not have thought twice about ending a soul's life. Like, you wouldn't have cared, because it became mechanical. It became like being at a stoplight and making a left. There's no difference. But you might then get nightmares and dreams of the people you killed, the ones that you didn't think twice about. Then you start seeing their faces over and over. There's a reason for that. These are part of agreements. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, you should just trust life. Everybody feels so lost right now that we don't have energy anymore. We don't want to have small talk conversations anymore. We want to connect with somebody deep down. And this is why we reject friends. This is why we reject opportunities, because we know they're all superficial in nature. And like, the more we reach for those material things, the more we realize there is no end to the reaching. and you're only going to want your entire life. And it took me until 2014 to give up all the money, to leave my tattoo shop, my other businesses. And I was happy making all that money, but I realized I lost part of my soul, man. Like, it got to the point where I only cared about money. And I seen a big part of the world, man, with all that money. And like that money and that drawing and that art and me drawing since I was a little child. Drawing the horrors I went through as a kid. In high school, sculpting the monsters' faces that harmed us. You know, that kind of helped me release this over time and realize that a lot of my suffering was my fault. I was allowing these abusive people to come into my life like cycles, to the point where I thought I was a psychic because I could predict what's going to happen in the future. And I realized that's what the universe is. It's going to send you on this loop until you heal what's causing you to always make a left. You know, we are victims of our own choices, and we make the same choice every time a vice is put in front of us. And it keeps us from evolving to something we want to become or hitting that timeline that we know we can achieve. And that's what people need to know right here in the here and now. Stop your addictions. Everybody stop for 1 second. Close your eyes for 3 seconds. Think right now, what is my biggest addiction? Hold that for 3 seconds with me right now. That's the secret to everything that holds you back. That is what you're here to heal. More than like that one thing is the thing that you think about all day long, week by week, month by month, year by year, decade by decade. Heal that. You know what you need to do, and that's it.
Nice. Thank you. What's your method in healing? Well, you can tell me what you're willing to talk about, but also I suggest people reach out to you for a session and then come to you in Florida. But yeah, what things are you willing to talk about in addiction for people that are going through it?
Okay, so a lot of my clients have some form of high level of addiction. It could be love addiction. It could be alcohol addiction. It can be drama addiction. And just like I was saying, every single client that comes to me, they're shown why the cycle will never end. Because of that addiction. It could be an addiction to not leaving the toxic situation in your life. It could be addiction to loving your family so much that you won't leave the person that's abusing you simply because there's children involved and you think, I'm never going to find somebody else. It's a lie you tell yourself. Every single person is the same story every time, no matter what it is. They are caught in an addiction of not facing themselves, not loving themselves, not facing who's harming them. One of the biggest I've ever discovered is forgiveness. Most people, there's two things they suffer from the most: not loving themselves and not forgiving themselves or forgiving somebody else. They will hold this for years. And then suddenly you get a cancer in your stomach or the bladder or the intestines, because that's where hate is stored. We found out through QHHT. That's where it starts. So when Dolores discovered that she can help heal injuries and cancers, a lot of people's not realizing that the reason why doctors can't help you and you're suffering from all this chronic stuff and you've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars, you've traveled to all the shamans, all the healers, you've did ayahuasca, no one's ever helped you because what you're suffering from is spiritual in nature. And unless you identify what's causing the spiritual ailment, it's not going to end. It'll only accumulate more and more and more. If you don't love yourself, what's going to happen is more than likely you can start putting on weight. You start gaining weight after a certain time through a certain traumatic event. And you don't realize that the weight is a wall you're putting up. You're literally putting so much between you and something else that it's manifesting in the physical body. So that's what QHHT does. It helps you identify why you're having this repetitive knee injury, or why you have this skin disorder that just won't go away, or why is the doctor always telling you it's psychosomatic and they can't figure out what's causing it. So that's what QHHT does.
Nice. What kind of, can you take people through kind of a little concept of what you bring them through in QHT so they can like get excited about it, for like, and what kind of topics have you covered, and you know, like SSP, so that like you can kind of like go into each of the things people are looking for.
Okay, let's say that let's say you're SSP and you want to discover who the hell am I? What I can do with QHHT is I can have your higher self navigate you to hidden memories that were disabled at the moment through the programming. And I have the ability through this technique to basically remove these firewalls. And we can go into these memories. And if you want to figure out who we are or who you are, if you say you have these memories of being on a specific planet, I can take you to the memory of when you were on that planet. If you were on that planet for 10 years, part of a time travel program, or 1 year, it doesn't matter. Over time, we can uncover all the memories. We can uncover memories day by day, month by month, year by year. There's a guy named Johann Fritz. He did regressive hypnosis, kind of like QHHT, every day for like, I think it was a year and a half. He did it 5 days a week or 7 days a week with an agreement with another hypnotist. And he discovered so much about himself through this regressive hypnosis because they blocked these memories from coming forward. It took me to have brain damage to activate what was going on outside of me being a kid going through these programs into my adult memories and my experiences into that. It took an augmentation to unblock what I'm helping unblock in other people. It took brain injury for me to access that. And it's all a bleed through. So once you open this door, you can figure out what programs you've been in. You can identify the names of the programs. If you have face blindness, I have techniques that unblurs the face blindness. I'm doing stuff that a lot of people in hypnosis never do. It's never been talked about. And I am doing things that are so next level that I don't even talk about them online, because that opens it up to remote viewers remote viewing my process. And to all the remote viewers that are inappropriately remote viewing me, a large amount of us are doing projects to remote view you back and identify you and put you on a list. And we're identifying who you are behind the scenes. So if you want to keep pushing it, you government oracles that are popping into my sessions, like we had a government oracle pop into Penny Bradley's session when I had her under at the Full Disclosure Now conference after hours on like a Thursday. It was the last day. And one of the government remote viewers popped in. And despite my warnings, he wasn't leaving. So in front of Penny, when she was viewing this with her third eye open, that's what QHHT does. It opens up your third eye, your pineal gland. And this is what remote viewing is. You're seeing the Akashic record of what actually happened, like Sean can do. And this government oracle came in. I gave them a 10-second countdown. They were being cocky. They didn't want to leave. So basically I burned their third eye out and they left. And Penny talks about this. She's talked about it numerous times. And she was impressed because, like, to say you can do something is one thing. To prove it during a session on somebody who's been in this game for so long and who's been through so many sessions with everyone else, you know who's legit and who's not. Like, if you don't think it was in the SSP, I don't care. Learn to remote view. You can see what I've been through. But like I said, there's appropriate viewing and there's non-appropriate viewing. And the ones that's the non-appropriate viewing, just to see, we're going to view you. We're viewing you right back, man, and we're keeping it to ourselves. In the end, you're going to be uncovered, man. That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you for bringing that up in that topic. I like the burnout method. I deal with that too. I have a lot of methods I resolve remote viewers with. Most of the time, if they're not, there's a boundary layer I put up where they start getting overwhelmed, then that usually pushes the positive remote viewers away because they realize, oh no, something's wrong, I gotta get out of here. If they keep pushing, which usually means they have like a dark agenda, they have a theft agenda, or a limiting psychic or psionic handlers from a distance agenda, or they're paid to do so. Like they're a lot also a lot of there are psychic vampire handlers at a distance. I ran into quite a number of them. I have a method because they're parasites. They have bounties on them because they stole a large amount of energy from multiple people and abilities and generators and stuff. So I just pull the rug out from under them of all the abilities they stole, and then they essentially it collapse down and they get neutered. So I recommend that for people, and then they can if you go, because there will be a list of handlers, and there's like a parasitic predator that's invading and possessing a lot of the handlers, and they influence, if you get rid of one handler, to get a next higher level handler to replace it automatically, even if the physical handler isn't aware of it. They're like parasites. They're psionically oriented with stolen stuff and demons attached to them to keep a system going of suppression of people around the planet from growing. So then I get excited about it because I'm like, oh yeah, just keep falling for my trap, you idiot. And then I'm going to get rid of more and more of these handlers, and then eventually they won't be able to send much at me. And that's a perfect segue to Nathan Fox's question. What are the best methods for identifying handlers? Can you tell us a little more on your experience with those?
Handlers are so good that they're your girlfriend, they're your wife, they're your family members, you're your boss, they're the door guy that is at your hotel. And only recently, with all the remote viewing that I've done, with some of the best remote viewers I've ever known in my life, including you, Sean, we've seen that I had handlers in my life consistently, and a lot of the females that I dated long term, it turns out they were in the programs as well, and they were sent in as a handler for me. And I struggled with it momentarily, and I felt like my entire life has been fabricated for me, and what I thought was me organically creating my life, it was actually curated by behind the scenes for me. And it got to the point where I realized that one of my handlers was one of my bosses. And I got to see what his role was and how he's been in my life my entire life since Chicago, in one of the Chicago duns. And like, you don't realize how deep this rabbit hole goes until you literally ask that question. Who's my handler? A lot of people, when I mention these handlers, a lot of people, they freak out. They're like, I don't know if I would want to know if this person this close to me was my handler. And I like to say, this person will always have a sentence that they say to you every single time they interact with you. A lot of the times it could be a parent that only comes every once in a while. It can be a boss that might snap at you out of nowhere for nothing. But you realize there's a pattern of what they say to you. And if you find that there's something repetitive in it, sometimes that's a telltale sign that they're using reinforcement program to keep you in programming by saying a sentence that could be special between only you and somebody else. And in that moment, you go deeper in your programming. So you never question your life. A lot of these memories never start bubbling up because the handlers in your life, anytime you start asking questions, they know because they're the closest ones to you. The moment you start mentioning it, that phrase might come in. And you don't even know what it's going to be. And if you really think about it, a lot of the times, you're like, holy crap, I suspect that this person might be a handler. And there is a thing that they say to me every single time. And I realize whenever they leave, I feel a certain way emotionally. And a lot of times, it's not good. A lot of times it could be blissful, because the blissfulness is to cover up you actually getting these memories. One of the blissful experiences with a handler is that's the antithesis of you gaining that memory. So they send you to like Never Land. They make you feel, well, I love this person so much, or I just feel happy when I'm around them. That can be a sign that they're a handler as well. But unless you put somebody under and you have their higher self physically identify and you dive deeper, like I use the Socratic method of law when I do QHHT. I studied law the last 25 years. And it's something I've been obsessed with my whole life. It goes all the way back to my life back in 1215. And something major happened that year, and I was involved directly with it. And the ACIO actually talked about it, and Jessica was there. I got a scar that day, down on my freaking head. And I wore that scar with pride. And that's the reason I'm so obsessed with law, because that moment was a foundational point for history. And I was proud to be there. And it's what I've learned with law that I pass on to others. Like, I talk a lot of law in comments on Instagram or like Facebook. Anybody usually comes with me with law questions. I know a lot of law. I studied American jurisprudence. I studied Black's Law original editions. I studied Bouvier's 1856 volume 1 and 2. That's what the Supreme Court uses. And what I specialize in learning is case law. And it made me a professional identifying in unconstitutional things. Everything that I said was unconstitutional over these years, over the last 20, 30 years, it all came true. Every single thing. So it's like, it gets to the point where over time you might be seen as a conspiracy theorist. But over time, people start realizing a lot of times you were the smartest person in the room. And all these crazy theories weren't theories. You were actually connecting the dots. You were seeing what was not being seen. And then it became true. So that's what life is about, man.
Thank you. Yeah, and we got another question. Do some of the handlers not know they're handlers? I'll let you answer and I'll answer.
Yeah, basically you just asked me that question. Oh, okay.
The question I asked is how do you identify a handler? This one's, do handlers not know they're handlers?
Okay, even handlers are being handled. Usually if you're in the programs, you went through trauma-based mind control. More than likely you have alters, and that's for compartmentalization reasons. And even people in the secret societies, the Freemasons, the Illuminists, they all went through trauma-based mind control. It's mandatory for their own children. Their children get some of the worst torture in the programs, and that's not a lot of people talk about, how a lot of these kids and these families, these celebrities that are like Monarch, they went through this trauma just like we did, but they went through a lot more than most people. And this is what it's just like, I've been identified to be in Monarch. I've been in Monarch since I was a kid. So seeing these symbols in the domes and the archetypes and the subliminal programming, like they used hypnosis on all of us. So what I'm doing now is I learned hypnosis to reverse the things they programmed into us. And that's what I use the most. I help deprogram people. I help identify what they're being programmed to do, what cover their life they're being programmed to live. If they're in a program of trauma or self-loathing or something, a lot of times it's a program. And you don't even feel that way down deep, or you might get these negative thoughts on a regular basis and you're thinking, I would never think those thoughts. That's ridiculous. That's bullshit. That's part of being handled. That's part of the programming. And a lot of it's fear-based stuff. It's just like, I would never fear this situation. Why does this keep coming up over and over like a repetitive record that won't stop? But like, as for the handlers, man, you got to start assuming that the people closest to you are handlers. This is why when I go to these events, anytime I meet somebody that says they're SSP or in the programs, I'm assuming off the bat, just in case, that you're here to handle me. And I look for phrases and code words and certain crystal rings they might wear, because that activates programming. I look at what kind of necklaces they wear, because a lot of those are designed to reinforce programming. There's certain people that do interviews. They tell you off the bat, you can't wear certain types of rings, and these are high-level people. There was a famous interview. I don't want to name this person, but they're one of the biggest people that's ever spoke, and they got like 30, 40 books. And they were told that they're not allowed to wear certain rings because it will actually activate people that they're interviewing. So it goes into a level that is so deep that we're only scratching the surface, and only the people that went through the programs really know what's going on. Like, part of my presentation I'm doing at the Full Disclosure Conference in July, this is the first time that anyone's ever described the specific things we had to go through, and part of the military training, what facets of training we were taught, what kind of mental and physical. This is outside of MK Ultra stuff. My initial lecture was about MK Ultra and a lot of the torture and stuff we went through as kids. It's not going to be none of that. A lot of what I'm going to be talking about is what it's like to run a Delta team or an Alpha team, what it's like to be Delta 1 or Alpha 1, what the differences between both teams, what it's like to be taught as a child how to shoot, close quarter combat, long-term ranges, rifles, handgun to rifle transition, 2 shots to the chest, or 3 shots to the chest, 2 to the head. Like, it's all timed exercises. I'm going to be talking about things that made us operators, the types of training we went through with other military groups like the Navy, like the Air Force, the type of SEER training we went through, the type of missions I've been on. Like, I'm going to be discussing certain missions I was on, and I'm going to be very careful in how I describe these missions. The details I'm going to be saying is not going to be where you can remote view this mission because it's dangerous. But I'm just going to present this in a way that's never been done before. And I'm going to be using a lot of imagery that's going to evoke a lot of emotions. Sorry, I got to sneeze. But it was known. Give me 1 second. I'm going to sneeze. During my lecture, a lot of people passed out. A lot of people lost time. A lot of people talked to how when I started talking about certain subjects, they lost time. And that's the kind of power that's coming in this presentation. A lot of stuff we were told after I put people under with QHHT that was in that audience, major speakers that stayed with me in my own house that week, we found out that they were targeted during their own session that I was going to put them in, or they were targeted during my talk because what I was saying, they were not authorized to know. So they lost time and passed out. It happened to 2 people that were staying with me, 2 of the speakers. And then other people that weren't staying with me, that was a common theme. So that lets you know the type of stuff we're talking about now. It's some major heavy-duty stuff. What Brian's doing with this conference, he's allowing us to talk about subjects that most conferences ban us from talking about. And I think this is why this conference is going to be one of the biggest ufology conferences in the world. And it'll eventually set a bar for what ufology needs to become, and how we're not going to just fight each other in the ranks and it's one person against another. It needs to be where we stop curating and we say certain types of people can't come to conferences. It needs to be an open forum. If we have panels, it should be people that disagree on subjects. That's what healthy conversation's about. If everybody's talking about the same narrative over and over and over, it gets boring. This is the first year where I stopped doing a lot of my major conferences because I realize every single year it's the same old speakers that repeat the same information ad nauseum over and over. And it's getting to the point where we're de-evolving in ufology because these top speakers, their voice isn't evolving. it's only repeating the same stuff they've repeated the previous 10 years with like the newest updates, like these predictions. A lot of these people are making predictions. A lot of them don't come true. You know, like I will never be the person that makes a prediction of what's going to happen 2025, 26, 2030. I don't know. We're in a multiverse. This is what the Mandela effect is. No one can predict alpha timeline because the timeline you're experiencing, Sean, the timeline of each and every viewer watching this right now is completely different than the person next to you.
Different people are actively changing the timeline.
Yeah, they pop onto the timeline that they resonate with, like you were talking about. If you put yourself at a certain frequency, they can then target you. So if you want to stay at a certain frequency by getting out of these cycles to not have them attack you. And like, unfortunately, you said, Sean, that they were cheating a lot. They were targeting me heavily to the point where it's not natural, or where it's abnormal amount of attacking. And it's getting to the point where I'm just an army of one, man. I can only do what I can do. I can only project my fields up, and these guys are still getting through. You know what I'm saying? So like, we all need help. We all need to join together, and we need to help each other. We need to stop bickering, and we need to join each other and then fight them. Them against us. That's what it needs to be. Good versus evil. Not good groups where you break off and all the good people are fighting amongst groups, kind of like the Atlanteans did. When they were splitting off, they had different groups. That's what happened in Sumerian Babylon. You had the Enlilites, the Enkites. You had all these people that were like direct descendants of Cain and Abel, and they all branched off, and they just warred with each other. And that's what all these modern wars are. It's just like this bickering amongst family about who should rule. It's stupid. We need to unite together and just step up truly for the first time. Rise in the hundreds of millions. Rise in the billions. If we can get 1 billion people to rise, we defeated them in one fell swoop, man. 100th monkey effect achieved. We hit the new timeline. We took down their freaking death grid. We won. But we can't do it if we fight.
Yeah, eventually I'd love to see that on, like, let's say, Zoom group calls where we all like come together and do puzzle pieces for each other and heal the problems, and we our multidimensional self rise up to bigger levels, so we can all hold that weight up even easier, and then it gets lighter and lighter on people's shoulders that are coming. Yeah, and then we're doing that. The timeline's getting better. The matrix is getting
definitely. It's been getting interesting lately. I see for the first time, man. It looks like we're kind of winning.
Yeah. The matrix is original aspect that's not the virus incurring into it and taking over it, has been getting more and more purified, which is nice. And a lot of the authorities are coming back online and holding up the weight, so that's nice to see. So people like yourself, and we can go in that further. I just wanted to like address his comment. Personally, in what I've seen, I classify at least 5 types of handlers. Type 1 through 3 doesn't know their handlers. I'd say most people don't know their handlers. Anyone can be a handler. It's kind of more like the layers of mind control and gatekeeping, depending on your reality and ego boundaries, what you think exists and what's real. Your handling is essentially controlling or influencing or preventing or gatekeeping something. And everyone does that all the time, whether they know it or not, based on beliefs passed down and limitation. So then that could be part of a system of beliefs and lies and perception and narrative that are a part of a predator system going deeper. There's also like physical handlers, distant handlers, and energetic beings that don't need a body, like multidimensional apex predators and demons and stuff that handle people through like emotional mind control. Negative emotions, I found 99% of the time, are not your soul or not your higher self or not your intuition, or barely ever a warning. Like 1% of the time they are righteous in like fear, trying to get you to a safe place. A lot of the time they're just, and even if they are, some demon will fuck with it and overload you with even more fear. So it's still goes into manipulation. So the 5 types of handlers I've gone into are like ones that don't know, or like low level influence, usually mind or emotional mind control, something around their ego that influences the person. Then it goes deeper to your family members, and they're like at a higher degree of handling. And then third would be like relationships, like if you're in a relationship or marriage and they really prevent you from, like, let's say waking up or being who you're truly meant to be, or a threat to the system, or something that is what the dark forces, whatever they may be, are wanting to handle. Fourth goes into, say, fourth and fifth, they know that they're a handler. They, like in Total Recall, where they're married to the person, and they don't, their past of their life was made up and in a memory implant, and they're that when you start challenging things, they start like threatening you. And then fifth would go to like actually military forces that are handling people under them at a higher highest level. That's my classification. So 99% of people, like everyone, kind of has an aspect of handling, and that can go to an influential attachment that goes into their perception, that is then shared and then projected onto another person. But then there's greater intent levels. But like, so essentially everyone has handling capacity in 99% and don't know it. And then some will be mind controlled too, with greater layers and alters involved, and be triggered to anytime a subject goes up, like a big ball of emotion flares up, and like, don't talk about that, and then shuts the person out, and then emotion and negative emotions are shared with the person trying to be controlled to get them in a certain pathway. There are certain ways to figure out which layer they are in level of handling, based on like the things you're talking about. But I also use it as a trap, because if they're entangling with me, they're agreeing to your rules. So then you can take down the big ball of handling and make yourself immune to being controlled, and having parts of yourself flare up to determine when something's trying to control you, and then do the opposite. Or figure out what they're trying to get you down, and they're like, oh, they're trying to prevent me from doing this. I wonder what that's going to do in my life. And then you can explore. Yeah, so there's some other questions we have, and we can go deep. Let me see what we got. Okay, here's a question from Donna. Ask, greetings, Go. Do you work with people regarding dragon connection? I have so many questions about my dragon experience that I just noted. Name is why I ask.
Donna, that's a great question. I come from the dragon energy. Sean, he's viewed my non-physical body, and he's one of the few people that's seeing the intenseness of how big it is. And from there on down, there's the physical dragon, and then you have all the dragon reptiles and everything else. But like, I learned from Amir Jahangiri what the actual dragon fire was, and the universe put me and him together, and he activated a lot of stuff in me. And at the moment, I kind of knew what my potential was, because he activated things in me that were kind of dormant, and that was basically the reason why he appeared in my life. It was to activate certain things in me to help me get past certain kinds of obstacles and stuff, and help me identify stuff like handlers. And he identified one person, you and Sean. You guys identified one big handler in my life, and that was really hard to take. And like, it's just like, holy crap, like this goes really deep. And like, that lets you know how big your story is when someone so big is sent in to handle you, And it just lets you know that you have to be careful. One of the things you were saying is like, one of the biggest things I see is there's always a loved one in your life that a side effect to being spiritual is you reject a lot of the religious programming, and allows you to kind of use morality to be the guide. And the more you say you're spiritual, it comes with certain attacks. And you'll notice that there's always a boyfriend or girlfriend or a mate in your life where they don't accept who you are. They don't accept the things you're saying. They might call you a conspiracy theorist. Or they might think that since most of the people that are spiritual, we discovered that this is a singular body, this is a single existence, we are eternal, the soul never dies, this is just a suit we put on, a garment of flesh, like they say in the Bible. It's just like a garment of flesh, and then we shed that over and over and over. And you're going to realize a lot of times those are handlers, and they're preventing you from moving forward into your belief because they make you question everything. And like, it could be like you feel that you're never good enough for them, and you feel that you know more than them, but you're dealing with a person that has so much programming they can't accept any evidence you present to them, and it might upset you. And it feels like you have to live a life as a lie. Not necessarily a lie, you have to live a life in solitude and be a person. It's kind of like the Japanese say you wear three masks. The first mask is the face you show to the world. The second mask is the face you show to your closest friends and family. The third mask is the mask you never show anybody. That's the truest reflection of who you are. So it sucks to have to live life in the third mask, where you can never truly let know someone who you are because their own patterns and beliefs prevent you from showing somebody who you are versus like telling them who you are. Does that make sense? But yes, Donna, I deal with a lot of the dragon energy. I use the dragon fire. I use the dragon energy during my sessions. I use it as protection. I've explored some of my QHHT past lifetimes as dragons. So yes, it is who I am. And Drago being my name is not a coincidence. I have a dragon on my entire left arm, spinning all the way down, and my tail's caught in this little Hanya mouth. And it's an analogy of never ever let a person ever hold me back again, because this is the dragon I am. And my tail's being held in this Hanya's mouth. So that taught me never ever let a person control my destiny. If I want to accomplish something, it's going to be on my own time, and I'm going to do it without your permission. So that's how you defeat life. You have to do it no matter what. You can't have somebody hold you back and prevent you from having your dreams, because if you can achieve your dreams, what if that person's your handler preventing you from achieving those dreams or that job opportunity? And that's the way you free yourself. It's as simple as that.
True. And then there's also internal handlers in ourself and our own ego and the false selves. Yeah, that's part of the enlightenment, going deeper and becoming immune to it all. Yeah, and so go deeper. What's your experience in hypnosis in which the goal is to like reclaim and merge alters and reclaim abilities?
Okay, so basically that's just integration. We basically identify what is being held separate from you as part of the programming. What doors and walls are closed off to parts of you that you are unaware of? And if so, can we create a blueprint to identify all these altars and link them in a singular form? So with Penny, I think we integrated some of her altars during her session. And that's one of the big things I try to do, because people in these programs, they create these altars on purpose. It's for compartmentalization. You know, you can't have an ass out in the field with classified information, because if that asset is tortured, they give up the information. So basically, they program a torture altar in you, where let's just call this altar Logan. If Drago starts to get tortured, Logan comes out. Under no circumstance will Logan ever tell what the truth is, because Logan doesn't know. Logan is separate from Drago. So anything Drago experienced, Logan doesn't know. So if you try to torture me, you're going to get Logan. And Logan doesn't have any memories pertaining to me. It's all separate. He has his own experiences. He does different things in the programs. It's all separate from me, but it is me. And until I identify that these things exist within me, you don't know how far the rabbit hole goes. So alter integration is important. You said ability integration. That's very important too. We identify with these assets, why are they targeting you specifically? Was this pre-birth? Did they know you were coming into this time, or did it come after you were born? Why? Were you soul tagged? Were you abducted? Were you part of a hybrid project? Are they using your eggs or ovaries or sperm to create other hybrids? Why? Is it because of your genetic lineage? Is it because of your soul lineage, your spirit lineage? You know, that's the stuff we have to identify, because everybody wants to know, why me? You know, like one of the viewers, Sen Nana Absu Inki, they said, what is cheating? This is what they're doing. They're identifying extremely powerful people, and they're breaking natural rules and laws in order to hack these programs, get in through back doors, literally install viruses and cheat codes. And they're doing it to the point where it's not part of any natural agreements. Like, a part of me agreed to be abducted, to be put in these programs before I even got on this planet. But what happened was, they took it out of control, and they went beyond what I agreed to. And they literally, like the Eagles say, they took it to the limit. And we got to understand, we have to identify what limit did they take it to. So if I'm putting you under, this is what some of your questions are. Why me? When was I targeted? What programs was I in? How many altars does I have? What psionic abilities do I have that's being suppressed? Where are they located? Why are they being suppressed? Are the implants suppressing them? Am I creating a cycle that's preventing my own activations of my own psionic abilities? Is the handlers preventing me from activating my own psionic abilities? Does that make sense? So again, it's the Socratic method. I ask 1,000 freaking questions. And each question I ask, I go deeper and deeper and deeper, to the point where I navigate around all these traps, because I've thought of a technique that's never been done. It was not taught in QHHT. It's something I use during the QHHT that allows me to go around these traps and to find these altars. Arkeem Ra, he was at my house that week, and I ended up talking to, like, man, at least 10 altars. One of the best sessions I've ever had, man. And one of the altars I talked to was called Enchakriya. His altar in Chakriya is another being, a very high dimensional being. And this is what it's like to practice QHHT. You get to bring these beings forward, these altars forward, in an asset, and you can talk to them. You're going to be like, hello, who am I speaking with today? What are your traumas? What did you go through? How long have you been waiting to speak? How many others are in line right now waiting to speak? You know, with Arkeem, it was at least 80. And we can only go through so many. I like to use him as an example because he has so many installed in his programming, and other beings he's been in other lifetimes are all piggybacked on each other, overlaid between actual physical existences and altars together within him. It's very convoluted.
All right. From my experience, I've named multiple types, including handler altars, gatekeep altars, ones that are negatively in varying degrees of evil, ones that are made like through physical action, abuse, or programmed through some type of machine, ones made to compartmentalize trauma, like amnesia barriers, and then going deeper to like different abductions, or more positively made ones for interaction with positive ETs, like soul family in remembrance of them, interaction with them, even to advanced ones where they have gotten you that altar to remember past lives, ones bleeding over from past lives, archetypes. You know, the MyLab ones going, and then there's like a whole cluster built around keeping a person from remembering and integrating. And do you?
I like to call it the Russian nesting doll,
Yeah.
where it's all located within each other.
Do you think people are getting closer to the to getting past the Russian nesting doll, the maze around? What I've found is there's this back and forth time travel. usage of temporal dilation, abduction, or cloning of various people as assets to bring them to projects off-world, underground, into the future, alternate timeline, alternate realities, to then do actions, maybe fight wars, go into colonization, and be used to, in their mind, prevent horrible things from happening, but then abuse getting in, of course, to where all these, if that wasn't there, there'd be all these natural flowing out superhuman abilities. And so with all this on top of us, it's like funneling with superhuman abilities into the altar, locking it in there, and then having it used and controlled. And my goals is to get to a point in timeline where we unshackle and release the limitation and enslavement and prisons on people's abilities, so that that are earned in moral code, natural law, do no harm, take no shit, and allowed to flourish in earning a greater and greater superhuman abilities, like a garden growing on this earth, to be able to overcome more and more of our problems. What do you see in the progression? Do you think we'll eventually be able to use things like hypnosis to get it to where we've been able to fully unlock those superhuman abilities at higher level abilities? I know for sure the lower level abilities, I've been able to lock them myself, but there are high level ones like teleportation and levitation, that there's all these constructs and things built around to really prevent the person from using it themselves here.
If you understand that everything is frequency and vibration and sound, if you can control what frequencies are possible and eliminate the spectrums of these higher frequencies from coming into this planet, that means you're going to cut off most of everyone on this planet from accessing these because of frequencies. So it's known that Saturn is casting a frequency, and it's causing a hexagon-shaped anomaly in its North Pole. If you Google Saturn North Pole right now, you're going to see there's a hexagon. The hexagon is the symbol of the AI. That Saturn transmission is hitting our moon, and from our moon it's hitting the Earth. And what that's doing, it's keeping us in this Saturn control grid. And it comes with all kinds of traps like the death trap. And I believe that if they weren't naturally holding back these higher evolution energies, these photons that are coming in from the central sun, and they're actually trying to block it, I believe that we're already past due for our cycle. Like, technically, we had a great cataclysm 12.8 thousand, 13,000 years ago. We're overdue. That happens in cycles. Every 13,000 years, we have these cataclysms. It's part of the precession of the equinox, which is 25,920 years. That's why each zodiac is 2,160 years. You know? So it's predicted over and over. So we found out about 75,000 years ago we had the master cycle. And whenever we have this master cycle, there's 3 cycles, and then you have the master cycle. That's the 75,000 years. So you have 3 26,000 year cycles, then you have the grand cycle. And that's when, like, the central sun sneezes through all the suns, and it basically forces this upgrade in evolution. What they did last time was the Draco and the Anunnaki were sitting outside the planets when this was happening. And even Ashiana Dean talked about this. And we've seen this, where they basically were sucking the souls as they were supposed to evolve with their own evolution, and they were reinserting them back in this control matrix. So not allowing us to naturally leave. So I believe in the end, we will be free from this. I've been stuck here a long time. If you know how many 20 and 60 backs I've been in, like, it's a lot, man. The remote viewing has uncovered a lot, and it's unfathomable to even think that a human can be put through so much and be sane and be alive and not have killed themselves. But, like, I believe it's coming, Sean. I believe that the people are waking up. I believe we're achieving that 100th monkey effect. I believe that no one cares anymore about the people that don't believe. because if that's what they want to believe, there's a timeline for those people. We showed through QHHT that when this event happens, the people that didn't believe, the people that wanted to stay in their own dramas, their own lower vibrations, the one that couldn't accept reality for truth, they're going to go to that negative 3D planet. And they're going to experience the cataclysms and the post-apocalyptic futures and stuff. And they're going to watch the whole world burn. Because that's what they signed up to experience. I did not sign up to experience that. I only came here to help. But like, again, part of that targeting, that cheating, they kept me here longer than I agreed to. You know, so I'm ready to escape this control grid. I'm ready to go back to being who I am outside of just being in my cover life as Drago the tattooer. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready to remove this control grid and then move on back to the bigger wars we're actually fighting. Because the war of consciousness on the planet Earth, it's a single battle. It's been going on for a long time. It's one of the most hijacked. To be here in this time, to help now, it's one of the biggest honors. The people that don't want to be here, deep down, you want to be here. This is the time in our planet's history where if you didn't get to experience what is coming and what has happened, you will regret it. Because there are billions of souls waiting in line to be in this incarnation, to be in this, what we call this matrix. So just, even though you may be stuck in trauma and stuff, just know that it's all temporary. It's not forever. And there is a golden age on the other side of this.
I agree with that. A lot of things are in soul growth, like past just this physical body. You want to retain all the growth that you've had through your life, which is what part of going through all these challenges is, and how this place makes you grow really fast. And more access to more places and things you can do, more capabilities that come with that. We got some questions here. Let's see. Yes, people. Well, I'll have you plug this at the end as well. But somebody asked, how can we arrange a session with you, Jordan?
You can go to my website. It's located right there on the screen. It's fractaloflight.com. Hopefully everybody can see that. It shows how much all my sessions are. I offer packages. I can basically cater to anybody and anybody's budget. I offer basic session, I offer deluxe session, then I offer an intensive package. But if that's not something you can do in person, I also do 1 hour and 3 hour Zoom consults. So if you just want to chat, if you just want to tell me your story, if I can help identify some of your obstacles or some of the pains you have, I can answer a lot of questions. I've been through numerous scenarios in these programs, man, and like only a program person, not programmed, a program person, they lived so many experiences and went through so many scenarios that's the people you want to talk to, the people that know what you're going through, the people that's been traumatized just like you were. So like, I definitely recommend that 1 hour and 3 hour consults.
Nice. Okay, so going deeper into SSP stuff and targeting and all the things people are dealing with in programming. What do you see? Because I also see there's like a war over control over humanity and the anchor of authority to continue abduction of people and using them. And what would you see as the most optimal goal to get to in golden timeline for the whole SSP realities hairball for us to reach for in the golden timeline for SSP?
All probabilities exist simultaneously. The golden age is already here. People have already been going to the new planet that QHHT talks about. The 5D Earth is already here. We're all stuck in these different timelines. So if everybody in the SSP, we start focusing on, we defeated them. We defeated the Anunnaki. We defeated the Draco. We defeated the Greys. We finally got to the point where we stopped warring. You have to see it in your mind. You have to create it in order to mimic the frequency and signature of that timeline that already exists. So past, present, and future, it all exists simultaneously, and so does every possibility. We are in a shared delusion right now where basically we assume that every event that happens around the world, everybody's experiencing it, but we're not. So SSP stuff, I always imagine in the end, we won. We talked about it. It finally came out to the public. The governments acknowledged it. People that were in the programs were compensated for indentured servitude, and we were named, meaning that our government files were finally released. And all these people that called us crazy, they finally saw that this was actually happening. We have to get to the point where we force that awakening with people. You have to see it in your mind. You have to see millions of people rising in your mind, not to harm people. The awakening, lighting 1,000,000 candles with a single candle. That's my goal, to take my candle, my flame, before it is extinguished, and I light 1,000,000 candles, because each candle has a possibility to light another 1,000,000 candles. At that point, it's exponential. So if you're focusing on the golden age, see a time where we no longer war on the planet. See a time where the Star Trek future is here and now, where they openly come down. They go to school with us. We interact with them. They are us. We are one species acting intergalactically. That's what you have to imagine. You got to see the peace. We're doing this for each other. That's the only way to really do it. Everything's a 100th monkey effect. You have to hold the idea in your mind, and that idea is a timeline that actually exists, and you have to keep holding it, no matter how much it hurts. It's like working out. It's like a muscle. You got to think about it every day. I spend almost every night. There's hardly nights that I don't go outside onto my dock and I look at the stars without distractions. No cell phone. I look up into the stars. I look at Lyra to my left. I look at Alpha Draconis to my even farther to my left. I see Ursa Minor and Ursa Major. I look to the stars, creating that time where it's open contact. We had disclosure. I'm ready now. I'm creating the future now.
Really good point. It goes into reality warping ability, with like holding in both your hands the reality as it is and the negative things that are to be detached from, and then bringing forth the imagination and the shining light of what you prefer and making it stronger as you fade out the old, with all the billions plus outrageous number of attachment, and where the anchor of attachment in you and other beings is for maintaining the status quo, and having all that let go from the collective consciousness as we shine in the greater probability. So we can also go into something that will help you, because I like supporting you. So people out there also are dealing with sleep targeting and things attacking them to prevent them from sleep. What are some coping mechanisms you have felt and come up with in helping you live life with that type of thing? And I'll also go into that after you, for people out there going through similar.
Completing tasks. There is no true coping mechanism with this level of torture that a human being has to go through, like to sleep an hour, 2 hours a night every single day for forever. Like, that's a type of psychological torture that most can't handle. And it took me, for the longest time, I think I stopped screaming in my pillow maybe 5 years ago. You know, when you would go to wake up, that alarm would go off for work, and you just feel that when that alarm goes off, you feel angry. Because no matter what you do, you can't sleep. It doesn't matter if you take CBD, serotonin, melatonin, no matter what, nothing works. Like, it's to the point where the targeting, it neutralizes medicine. It neutralizes homeopathic remedies. It will prevent it from actually taking effect. it won't work. I've tried it all, man. And like, again, it's been 5 years since I screamed in my pillow where I just hated the world, because like, it's torture, man. So what keeps me alive is my plants. What keeps me alive is that dock at night, my lake, my birds, where I can feed all the wild birds and they come to me every single day that I have a day off. And they trust me. The lizards trust me. The animals trust me. All my neighbors can see it. Like, I'm the neighborhood animal freaking, like, I'm that guy.
Dr. Doolittle.
That everybody's always probably like, all the freaking animals are at his house, man. If there was deer around here, the freaking deer would probably be grazing on his freaking grass. I'm that guy because I created that reality, man. I created what I wanted to experience. I told the universe, I want animals here every day. I want to look into the souls of the other versions of me and show it kindness and let it know that we can all just live in harmony. You don't have to fear me. We don't have to fear each other. It can be where we just share and we coexist. I hold that thought every single day. Even though they take me and abduct me on a regular basis, it doesn't send me down that rabbit hole of fear like I'm not in control, man. Like, even though that I've been handled my whole life, it doesn't make me feel that I no matter what I do, I don't have that control, because if you can't have that control in your own life, your life is out of control. You have to master that fear, that control. So when I'm outside, my pain doesn't exist. Whenever I'm walking on the ground, I'm doing it without shoes on. I'm grounding with the earth. I'm becoming the wind. I'm becoming the breath of the cosmos by sharing the frequency of what it's like to be human to the grass or to the birds or to the wind. And I believe that's why they come to me, because we're matching each other's frequency. And it's hard to get to that level where all you want to do is just kind of be the custodian of other life. You want to see everything succeed. You want to see everything fulfill its entire potential. Like, if you've been friends with me for a long time, you know I help people see their potential, or what they are or how they're holding themselves back. Like, I rip the Band-Aid off without warning, and I tell you how it is. And you have to show people what holds them back. Be the gardener, be the warrior in a garden. Just like they said, I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. You can fight that pain and that suffering, but you can also have the consciousness and the love and the light and balance it, instead of just focusing on the pain at all times, because I'm in pain all the time. I have a lot of broken bones. I've got bones that stick out of my body. I have brain injury that messes me up all the time, but I don't let it get to me anymore. I realize it's an obstacle, but obstacles aren't forever, man. I've got out a lot of my obstacles, like the OCD. I defeated OCD in one day by thinking how to defeat OCD, and that came from my bike crash. But that's it. Identify what's holding you back. Think of the timeline you want to be on, and create it in your mind, and then it just manifests.
Thank you. That should help a lot of people. I like that. And I used to get intense amounts of pain coming into me, as well as the time that I was sick for like months, and I was like, what the hell? Why is there so much? Then I went into like realizing there's a higher level amount of targeting that I needed to work up to, and it wanted me to go into myself and embrace the pain or the illness and give it love and accept it as a part of me, and not reject it as like everything is you, and then have it to where it doesn't hurt me anymore as I faced it enough. And then it went to where it didn't have like, I still had permeations throughout my body of illness energy, but all the symptoms just went away. And eventually I got to the point where I could take out that, got to a bigger level to take out, but that was months later. But the same thing with the pain and shrinking it down out of my existence. And then I also found out about things portaling in the energy of pain or illness. And then a lot of it's like was my own stolen portal abilities. So I had to like go to the layer where the portal ability was in the chakras and clear it of all attachment, and then they stopped the ability to keep portaling in things. But there would be more and more layers of portal abilities, such as gates, rips, rips in space time, stargates, black holes, and if I countered all that, eventually it went away as well as an option. They would stop the grounding, so I would overload with negative energy, and it would make me restless leg syndrome, and then a bunch of negative emotion or whatever else it was. For you, I'm reading the first thing you need to do every time you do a healing on yourself to become immune to that thing is overcome the cheaters, the reality warpers, and the matrixes. And the best way to do that is to center into your heart. And you can hold the front and back of your heart. You can activate the palm chakra by holding it down like a button in any finger you want. Hold the front and back of it and center into the heart, going deeper into your infinite self, beyond, like bigger than the challenge. And you're cultivating three things that are generated in the heart, that are fuel, that run your spirit, your soul, your higher self, and your source. That way, it's like a big, energetic, expanding version of yourself, that ghost that starts taking care of all the things at whatever amount of chess moves per second that you need to counter the threat coming in. And the three fuels are 90%, that those run off of are 90% faith, 5% unconditional love, 5% gratitude. And it's like a fueling you give to that aspect of yourself to overcome any challenge that's coming at you as you go deeper into yourself. Like if dealing with matrices, the way out is in, and then going to the source of matrices and bring it to the remedy, because all these abilities were originally held by the light and were stolen. So you're empowering the original founder sources of abilities to take back their power, and then it shrinks it out of the hands of the dark. Then once you've pushed out the darkness and expanded your source and higher self, you will start feeling more love, more healing energy, more peace come out of your heart, and everything nice flows. And it's like you're it might be either turning the enemy to an ally, or getting rid of it, or resolving it, or banishing it, or capturing it, or destroying it if necessary, if it's too insane. And with love, and because love can do everything. And then once that is taken care of, I'm reading mostly you're targeted again 90% in the sacral, 5% in the soul and the solar plexus, 5% in the root chakra. The root chakra is some god body tech you have. The sacral, there's like 5 things, but of course the dreaming body, the creational force, divine masculine and feminine, and I believe emotions. Then the soul and the solar plexus. And so after you clear the heart, you go to the root. You get every the 3 chakras mainly, but anywhere, like you were talking about, you ask questions. That's the most powerful tool to narrow down to the truth. So like asking questions like, what energy are they sending at you? Various types, mostly like evil energy, and then the cheating and stuff. But then there's like pain and destruction and death, and all these dark things. You engulf them first with loving detachment and surround them, and then love them and relinquish them from your enemy because they didn't earn it. So now it's yours. And then put it in a safe place, away from your body. You find out where they're targeting in the body, and you empower the shit out of that to where it's immune, like a burning sun. Like it's brighter and bigger, and then the very thing that's targeting and coming at it is now it's firewood and fuel to make it stronger, and then increase its capabilities. So, and then the love and the gratitude engulf and make the flame spread all the way back to the source of wherever motivation is behind it sending at you, whether it be external or internal. you have a lot of altars and things trying to program or attach to you internally. So a lot of the things are in you. I'm mostly reading in the solar plexus, altars. There's like billions of fractal handler altars that are made by machine. And then layers of the ego, capturing and containing and quarantining threats that came at you that are trying to break out of the cage of the ego. And then also the soul. So you also want to empower from the core of the soul, so that it's shining like a light at the source of the soul, and then also your soul realm, which has like a source center, and then empowering those so the light shines and takes back all the layers of the onion of the soul and pushes out. Like there's like an ability that's like preventing siege or invasion. It's like a light that you shine bright enough and is destructive and burning, and you can have it with love enough to where nothing can infiltrate it in, and it keeps getting brighter and more energetically dense to overcome the challenge of whatever is incurring at you. And you can do that for every one of the chakras and every one of the generators and organs or things that are being targeted, as long as you find out what's targeted. The dreaming body is centered in the sacral, a little bit below the belly button in the gut brain. So as you purify that and make the sun of your dream body stronger, as well as the altars, because there are things that are intelligent in you that are trying to monitor when you go to sleep to fuck with your day. So sacral and solar plexus are the main thing for that, in clearing those to purity. And you can do that with love and embracing the very weapon they're using against you until you become immune to it and they can't do anything, and then they have to send different things. And now you've done it so long that they were resorted to cheating at this point. So now you become immune to cheating, which is going to make you an overpowered physical incarnate deity of some type, which I recommend for people if they're dealing with cheating. You get to the point where cheating, you're relinquishing the cheating lines of hands that are coming at you to fuck with you and mess with your game and overcome you. You see how many layers of creations that are being used to outperform you in chess moves, and then you get bigger than that. And the core is in your source connection with your heart and love, being able to conquer all of that, and then being able to relinquish, because all the cheaters are stealing something from like Earth, gods, prime creator of the galaxy, sources, because they're not infallible. They've taken on wounds and then stolen from them. And so you can go back to that point in time when they got stolen and prevent it, and then the cheating diminishes. But they'll still keep coming at you with cheating. Different sources I've found, because you've already reached that level. So that's for everyone out there as well, but you mainly. Hope that helps. So again, go into the heart. First time, everything, they're going to keep sending cheating at you because you're at that level. But it only takes like maybe 10, 15 minutes of like getting into this deep centered love meditation where you're overcome all the threats. And then you can start working on the components of what else they targeted. And then you get more immune to different types of cheating. Eventually they'll have to send, they're right now sending like trillions of types at you. So you'll get to a point where you can handle outrageous numbers all at once, and then be able to whittle down all the ways they can cheat and be a part of the collective that makes this planet and our species immune to cheating, which is the ultimate goal, because they're not going to, evil doesn't stop trying to find ways to cheat.
It reminds me of Matrix Reloaded, where they send in all the Agent Smiths, and they're sending them in into like the hundreds of thousands, and you realize that you get to the point where you're just like, holy crap, man. And it forces you to understand that you're not just a regular person. And like you mentioned all this cheating they're doing and how I've earned all these abilities and how they're trying to piggyback off my naturally earned abilities. Kind of like, if you use the analogy of a video game, you play this game for so long, you get these natural abilities. You get to earn these trophies and stuff. And what they're doing is they're trying to siphon off my abilities that I earned myself. So can you explain to some of the people what that actually means by once you've earned these abilities, how they're actually stealing them from you?
Sure. Most abilities have like a star or generator that produces a units of energy a second for an ability, and that has a structural type of plumbing that goes into the ability, and like chakras and organ functions and creations off of it that then go into the world, internal or external, to have a function. And people build up their greater abilities based off the smaller abilities. Pretty much, parasites and all that, just they don't earn anything, they steal them, and they steal them through like feeder tubes or portals or an attachment. And you can mostly just focus on the chakras for where your abilities are located, main center point. And then if you go and focus on the main center point, axis control, and take it back from the center, pushing out everything and burning away what's attached, you can get rid of things draining off the energy, copying or stealing the ability. Some abilities are more resilient to where if anything gets stolen, it uncreates itself. So they have to have a constant attachment to the original deserver of the that earned the ability, and even sometimes create an altar or use in a program. They can't always steal the ability, but there are abilities that can get stolen. So either way, it's always going to attachment, and the pathway to enlightenment is detachment to your infinite self deep within you, that you can see more and more how you express for the timeline, which is ultimately you, but also for your deeper layers of yourself, which is being able to envision your greatest self, a version of you that is free of attachment, free of things stealing from you, free from pain, transcended various things that are compartmentalized in the ego, which centers in the solar plexus, and the false selves that are these aspects of yourself and reality that are defined with limitation, that will be freed once you go deeper, as you let go of those, because the self is ultimately an illusion anyway. So that it's hard to define the deeper you go with words, but you're letting go of all these layers of the onion of like things that are anchored from when we go into puberty or adulthood or altars, or layers of what belief or perception or attachment from others or wounds or events or an experience that we're having, and we're getting up under that and letting it go as it no longer serves us, and going deeper to the truth, or beyond being, or the infinite. There's not that many words that fully encompass it. It's all kind of limiting, but the deeper you go, the less limited it is, and a non-describable. Hope that helps.
It's like the deeper you go, the more you see, not necessarily with your eyes, but with everythingness. Like you understand on a level because you're starting to see the archetypal symbolism now. You're starting to see the programming glitches in the matrix, and you're starting to like see that we are in a life of programming, and everyone is programmed. Every single person on this planet is programmed. We've been programmed since we was a child, through TV, through education, through everything. Religion, our own beliefs, it's all programming. So if you can realize that we are all programmed, you can also deprogram yourself, but you cannot do that unless you accept that you are programmed. And if you're too hardcore to be like, nothing can program me, you're a freaking idiot. Acknowledge that something is puppeteering you on a level you don't understand, and it could be an AI computer, it could be the higher self. A lot of things happening to us, it's not random. So you have to understand there are mechanisms that you can identify over time through opening that third eye, through forgiveness, through taking all that negative energy that's coming at you and sending it love and collapsing it into a sphere of energy and pulling it in. Like you said, like you own them at that point. And this is why at night when I'm on that dock, I imagine all the different stars in the sky. I imagine those are versions of me that left my light body, and I'm calling all those pieces back. And before I go to bed, I put up what I like to call shields, countermeasures, and cloaking. I imagine all my spherical shields. I imagine cloaking my house. I imagine the countermeasures in detail of what's going to happen, like the warning about if you come near my house astrally, I have a sphere of energy. If you get anywhere near it, dragon fire is activated and it will burn you. If you keep trying to push it, that dragon fire is now going to act like a Taurus field. It's going to energetically pull you into the flame like an arm. So if you try to push it too much, my countermeasures are designed to literally burn you and to the point you can't take it no more. And once you get past my flame, you then hit that white sphere of light, that orb of energy I put around myself like a double tetrahedron or a double pyramid of white light. You got to imagine a solid sphere of white energy that is impenetrable. And I put a mirror spell on top of it, meaning that any beings attempting to peek into my light field, I put a mirror back. Any negative intentions, I send back with consequence. Only beings of light, only beings of service to others may enter my light field. And that's what the countermeasures are for. They're a side effects. A lot of the people that remote view me, where they don't realize that I see them, I'm seeing them on a level that's being hidden. I'm allowing them to think that I don't see them. I know when people are remote viewing me. It's energetic in nature. Sometimes you can literally see the energy, but a lot of times I'm using subterfuge. I'm allowing you to see what you're capable of, so to the point when it gets acknowledged, it's going to backfire in your face. And there is a team of people like you and the team of people we've assembled that's protecting each other on levels people don't understand. So you got to be careful in this field, man, because if you come into some of our fields, especially people in the SSP, there's consequences for doing stuff like that. And it's not like dealing with normal people. We have psionic shielding that most people don't even understand how it even works or that it's even real. And it has negative side effects and consequences. It can really mess you up. You know, that can activate other things to start coming after you. So you got to be careful. And like you were saying, like, you go back in time, you make this change, they keep coming back. You remove this programming, they just keep coming back, reinstalling the programming. You just got to get to the point where I've got to master how they target me. And I've got to start doing these mudras more often, these hand symbols. And I've got to be stronger. I've got to start imagining my protections, my shields, countermeasures, and cloaking. I got to start putting it on 24 hours a day. I can't just set the intention. It's going to be on there all day long. You have to keep imagining it. Because if they're getting through your cloaking and through your fields and they're sucking your energy, they're getting through. You have to get to the point where you can identify that a lot of these people, they think they're protected on the highest levels, but they're not. And they're being manipulated in ways they'll never even understand, to the point where they don't even know they're even being manipulated. That's the worst ones, because they think they're immune to all this. But as long as you can identify that there are some things out of your control, and we do need to practice these modalities and these meditations and these manifestations and envisioning, strengthening our light field, and imagine collapsing these timelines of negative control by sending it love, just like you said, because love conquers all. Love is stronger than evil. You know what I'm saying? The light will always trump the darkness. It'll always make the darkness retreat. You send a light towards the darkness, you always see shadows. It's always the shadows always run away from the light. You shine a light on an object, the damn shadow is directly behind that light, protected. That's what truly shadows are. It's the darkness. You have to just identify it's within you and then focus your entire life on defeating it. And it's going to take you your entire life. There's no shortcuts. You know, I could spend an entire lifetime doing this and still not master it, because like you can't master something like this in a single lifetime. It's the infinite amount of lifetimes you've lived is the culmination of, like you said, all these different aspects of Sean that's achieved all these things. You're calling these aspects back that are you, stuff you've already achieved, abilities you've already unlocked. You are wanting them back. I am calling back my abilities now. That's what I try to do almost every single day.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that. Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, there's, calling deep inside your source connection in your heart for infinite self to overcome anything that's granted you for growth purposes and unity with the all. And also remind me later, I'll bring up with you this prime creator of the galaxy factor reset purification trap for things forcing thing with you and then neutering them and then completely uncreating everything attached to you in a big purification. I'll help you with that. I'm reading something also that you would benefit in your body. So yeah, we'll wrap up the show. How do people reach you?
You can email me at drago.reid@gmail.com. You can also find my website at fractaloflight.com. Follow me on Facebook. Say hello. Send me a friend request. Tell me a brief story about what you went through. I'll tell you right now, if you send me a long message on email or Facebook, I'm going to ignore it, because like there's only so much energy we have to talk about other people's stories or to take on that weight. And you have to understand, this is what I do with hypnosis every day. It's a lot of emotional burden to take on, to have someone tell you their story. And like some of the times the explanations are so long that I don't even know how to respond, because they talked about 500 different things. And I literally just don't know how to start a conversation off that. So the best thing to do is just send me a brief message, say hello, and that'll get you farther than just the long messages. So if I haven't responded to your messages on Facebook, more than likely if it was long, that's the reason. So I apologize. So just send me another message. It doesn't matter if we haven't connected. It could be that, because I get so many messages on Facebook and email that I miss a lot of them. And sometimes, like, again, they're so long, I don't have 20 minutes to read a 20-minute email. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a lot. It's just, I don't have a lot of time. I work like 120 hours a week. So the time where I do give it to people, I'm having to fit that in my already slave-driven schedule of paying bills.
I feel you. So you're going to the full, what conferences are you going? Events, books coming up?
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm creating 5 or 6 different lectures simultaneously while writing my book series. So I've taken off the time to go to a lot of these conferences that's been coming up, and I'm only going to focus on the most important ones to me, and it's not going to be a lot. But what this is doing, it's allowing me to focus on me creating all these different lectures. So by 2026, I'm going to be talking at different conferences about different subjects. And I'm creating them all now. 7 days a week, I've been creating all these lectures for over a year now. It's a lot of work, but I have big plans. I have a lot of plans for my book series that I'm writing. So just understand, I don't have a lot of time, and all the time that I have, it's full-time writing. It's full-time creating these lectures. So I'm trying here. So you can definitely catch me at the Full Disclosure Now conference. I'll more than likely be at Stairway to the Stars in, I think it's October and November in Vegas. That's a really great show. I might be at Contact in the Desert. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to go or not. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Cool. And you name drop your YouTube and other places people can reach you in social media, and any other plans you have? I'm just trying to cover everything.
Yeah, I'm no longer on YouTube. I was deplatformed from YouTube like all of the greats. So I'm only on rumble.com now. If you don't have a rumble.com account, just get one. It's where all the freaking censored videos that were deleted off YouTube and everybody that lost their accounts, it's all on Rumble now. So I have 2 shows on Rumble. I have Portal to Another Dimension, and I have The Rebel Collective with Laura Eisenhower. Follow both channels, like them, make some comments. Let me know what you think.
And I'm Sean Bond, founder of Psionic League. You can reach me at psionicleague.com. Consultations, clearing, sessions, healing, deep possession, unlock your dormant abilities, passive readings, all going deeper into superhuman abilities. And there's various products and video products on there, some very cheap. And you can also contact me at psionicleague@gmail.com. If especially you are interested in the trip, put trip inquiry if you're interested in the trip in Mexico, place of power, pyramids, superpowers to unlock as we bring the place of power what it needs to flourish, and it will connect with you and grant you a lot of things. And alien artifacts, I got a bunch of these guys in the various places that we have access to, like dig sites, and yeah, you can have events for bucket list interactive things that you won't get any other chance to have, as well as contact with ETs going deeper. And yeah, are you doing anything like the Full Disclosure Now events in Florida in I think July?
So, yeah, I think it's like July 15th through the 18th.
I'll see you there. Yeah, so come to that. That'll have a lot of cool things at it. I'm also about to go to an event in Rion's conference, Rise of the Guardians. We'll be teaching people how to unlock the greater capacity to be a guardian for themselves, their family, and the earth, protect things, and to expand and grow to the best possible golden timeline. So come meet us at those 2 events. I do more as well coming up. So thank you all for coming. Thank you for commenting. Great questions. Leave a comment with some love for Drago. Let us know if you want to see him on again. We'll likely, because we got a lot of things we can talk about. Smash that like. Subscribe to both our channels. His on Rumble as well. I'm also on Rumble, Psionic League. And yeah, share this with 5 friends. Bring this to people that want to be enlightened and expanded and might be going through trauma or targeting, and so it can help them quite a bit. SSP people and people that would like hypnosis regressions. Get it out there to the world, please. The more we see this stuff, the more of these shows we'll do. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful night. I'll see you guys later.